So I exclusively played DPS until maybe 1 or 2 seasons ago.
Okay.
Because I got a bunch of my friends into playing the game, and I feel like DPS is the most approachable role. So I was like, well, I'll just play support, and I'll just like pocket them or whatever, so they can learn the game. And
Yep.
so I started playing some support, and I was like, wait, this is actually really fun. So I started kind of just like queuing DPS and support for ranked,
Okay.
just to like kind of try it out and just for fun. Um, and now sometimes I'll do it just to like detox if I have like a bad DPS game, or if I just need to like take a break but I still want to play. So it's kind of more like my for fun role, I guess. But that being said, I am curious just to like get your feedback, because obviously you're a support player. So I just, as I play, and I just want
Yeah.
to kind of keep that improvement mindset, so I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
kind of thinking about things as I play. I pretty much play Kiriko, but I'm a lot more flexible with support because I just kind of messed around and I tried a bunch of people. So
Yeah.
um, I mostly do Kiriko. I'll also do Life Weaver. I'll also do BAP sometimes.
Okay.
Those are like my main three, I would say.
I know you talked about this a little bit, but like more specific, what would you say your like DPS to support playtime ratio is in comp over the last like season or two since you've started? Like
I have my.
how many games of support do you play for every game of DPS or vice whatever, you know what I mean?
Let's see. I actually have my thing pulled up here. So I probably okay. So this season alone, I think I have about 160 games of DPS, and I have like 40 games of support.
Okay. So like a considerable amount of games on support. It's not like 5 or 10 or whatever. You actually play support here and there enough that you are getting a feel for the role. A question I have for you is, do you feel like you get any benefits to your DPS games from playing support? Like, do you get a new perspective that is helping you at all, or haven't really got there yet, haven't played enough support?
I would let me think about that. I would say
It's okay if you don't feel like you have yet, but
I I would say a little bit. I actually, what I would say more is that being so proficient at DPS really helps me play support, because I know, it's easy for me to pay attention to the DPS, and I would know what I would want as a DPS. So it's really easy
yeah,
for me to be like, oh yeah, well, if I would like need my support here right now, so I am gonna go help him, or
yes,
so
okay,
that connection
perfect.
is there.
Perfect. Okay, that's a two-way street that happens on every role in the game. So
Hmm.
I'll have tank players who have chronic issues with keeping LOS on their support. They just can't like figure out how to have their support stay in line of sight of them. And instead of like making them try and play tank better, I'll just have them play support for some amount of games so that they
Right.
know what it feels like to have a Rhine that constantly pins out of LOS. Um, Whatever example. I'm obviously a support player, so obviously my examples come from that perspective. But
Yeah.
it's the same with DPS and support. You just said like since you've played a lot of DPS, you know what kind of duels your DPS might want to take that you need to be there for, or you know what angles they might want to play that they need support on. It's going to be the same give and take. Honestly, playing a lot of support, I play Ana. I play all the supports, but Ana is like my most played. So not this season, but even this season I play a lot of her. But right, Ana is like my main
Oh
character.
wow.
Kiriko is number
Mhm.
2. Um, Playing Ana, I had a lot of problems with Genji. Duh, why wouldn't I? And
Yeah.
I started playing Genji because I wanted the perspective of a Genji player 1v1 in an Ana on like how does this 1v1 work here? Like what am I looking out for? How do I outplay this Ana? And that made me better at Ana when I fought a Genji because I knew how the
Right.
Genji wanted to play and I knew what they tried to do. Same idea. I constantly tell people that playing support makes you better at all three roles.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm biased. I'm sure I am. But support, I feel like is very game sense heavy. You unless you're playing Baptiste or Zen, you can't really rely on your mechanics. You have to be paying attention to your whole team, paying attention
Yeah.
to the entire enemy team, thinking about where you need to be and when you need to be there. You're not just setting up on an off angle and shooting. I know that's a simplification, but you're paying attention to more, helps you be better.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's see. I don't think I have any pre-game ramblings about Kiriko. I think I'd rather just watch this and get into it and see how it goes instead. So that's what we're going to do. As always, if you have questions, feel free. You know I'm here. Okay. Okay, I'm already seeing some themes here. Pop quiz, have you noticed anything so far that you don't like? It's okay to say no, but if you have noticed, have you seen anything that you think is like a mistake yet?
I wouldn't explicitly say yes. I do think I could just have better line of sight of my team, though.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I think I've got like 3 things so far that I'm already like itching to talk about and like.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be one of those VODs where I might overload you here. But again, this is like basically my main character, my second main character. What rank is this? Just so I have some context here.
Diamond 5.
Okay, still in diamond, sweet. Let's talk about what I think is going to be your biggest problem already. This is coming from experience as someone who has VOD reviewed 30 Kiriko players, and every Kiriko player under diamond probably has the same exact problem, and even some into diamond. And that's going to be what I want. I'll teach you about the in-depth. I'll point out the difficult, complicated things to spot, but I want you to be looking out for this entire game. I want you to be looking out for every time you throw healing at someone who's full health. It's probably going to happen 100 times, okay?
Yeah.
So I want you to be looking for it. And I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say when it's happening, but it's probably going to be happening. And the less that can happen, the better. Okay. Preferably that happens 0 times in a match where you heal a full health target, okay? Think about being on Ana, right? Are you ever shooting at a full health teammate on Ana? No. Why the hell would you do that, right? Like I'd go do anything. It's the same on Kiriko, but it doesn't feel as intuitive because maybe it's because of the travel time. Maybe it's because they actually hit full health targets, whereas Anas go through full health targets. But Kirikos in general have way too much of a problem of healing full health people. So I'm gonna have you look out for that, and I'll do the rest of the work. Okay?
Sounds good.
That's twice, right?
Yep.
And because we're healing full health targets, our tank is already in a position where we need to Suzu him because we weren't with him when he might have needed it. So that happens. Okay. We're not too worried. You know, he could have just walked into 7 Junkrat mines and a bunch of Ramatra primary fire and needed the Suzu anyways. But the less that we heal full health targets, that's the more that we heal low health targets or deal damage to the enemy. And that means the less that our team is going to be getting pressured, the less that we have to use Suzu. And usually the more you can hold on to Suzu, the better.
Right.
It kind of snowballs. So damage is good. We like damage. Feeling full health, right? I'm pointing it out here because it caused someone to die. Yep. This is good. We're supporting a DPS on an off angle. This is like the primary function. Okay, well, supports are supposed to care about their tanks. I get it. You win games usually by your DPS being on an off angle. Like, no matter how good your tank is, and tanks can carry games. I'm not saying they can't, but if your tank is doing their job and the enemy tank is doing their job, it basically comes down to whose DPS get more creative and do things like this. And so supporting this as much as we can is going to be how we win a lot of our games when it happens. And look what happens. We'll heal this guy. Good. And then we will look away and send a volley to our hog. And watch what happens to him when you look away from him.
Yep.
And in that time that was happening, you sent a volley at your hog. It's like, well, I have Suzu. I could have been healing him. He could still be alive right now. And then this guy wouldn't have any cooldowns to really deal with it. Or maybe he gets away, but at least your cast is still alive. Heal full health. This is fine, but I'd honestly... do I want to give this advice to someone who maybe doesn't play as much support? I'm still going to give it.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it. All right, take this one with a grain of salt. This is usually advice for like people who've played support for a while. I this sounds crazy, okay? I usually just like don't really heal people unless they like need it to live. Like there's exceptions, okay? There are exceptions to this. This is a complicated rule, but I'm not really patching up like 100 health on a hog who's like missing 100 health, or I'm not really patching up like 30 health on a Cassidy unless he's in like a very important position to deny enemy angles. I'd rather do my own damage. I'd rather spend the
Yeah.
time doing anything else, like putting pressure onto the enemy team, developing my angle, helping my cast develop his angle, rather than like spend time healing people who don't really need it. So
Yeah,
um,
that makes sense. One of those is very obviously much better value than the other. That
right,
makes total sense.
right,
Yeah.
and again, it's not intuitive. People don't usually figure this out on their own because you're playing a role called support, and so most people are like, I need to support my teammates, and it's like you can support your teammates better by doing damage to the enemy because then they have to it's the same as DPS. When you do damage to them, they have to back off and get healed, or they have to
Yep.
figure out where the damage is coming from. um have you watched any awkward gameplay before on
Yes.
support? That's like all he does, okay, and he's really
Yep.
good at it. I'm not saying do what awkward does, um but I am saying that like there's a reason that he's as high up on the ladder as he is when he basically just plays DPS on support. Of
Yeah.
course his mechanics are great, but like it works, doing that works. So obviously once your teammate gets critical, yes, you need to pay attention to them, you need to help them, and this is good. You could be doing this from like a slightly better angle to where you're actually hitting all your paper on him and it's not getting stuck on the wall. In general though, like you have the right idea, he needs help, you need to help him. This is all self-explanatory. We also, this is common. This isn't a you thing, but we also have accuracy issues on our healing. And so while I understand we're on console, we're not always going to be 100% accurate. Um, it does really require active thought. People usually get this notion that Kiriko, just because her papers lock on, has like mercy accurate healing where they never really have to think about what they're doing.
Yeah, you
Um,
totally do.
and I aim every single volley that I like. I am actively thinking about where I'm aiming my volleys when I'm throwing them. I'm not just pointing in the general direction of my tank and healing. I have my crosshair specifically on them and I'm tracking them the entire time to make sure that they're getting all 5. Because all it takes is you missing 20% and all of a sudden your character is doing less healing than like a Mercy who has a lock on beam, or if you miss 40%, you're now doing the same amount of healing per second as a Zen if you miss 40% of your paper, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it is a like an active process, making sure that they don't get stuck on walls. And those are probably going to be the only 2 things I'm going to have you worry about after this review. I know it hasn't even been a full point yet, but not healing full health targets and aiming your heals, like deliberately aiming them, are going to be probably the 2 biggest things you can do to be better. We'll talk about more stuff than that, but it's probably not going to be as important. It
Just in a bad
happens.
position.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things you could have done about it, but occasionally you just get stupid deaths because you're focused on something else. I would classify that under like awareness, but
Hmm.
um, I just like I have a support mindset, so I'm constantly scanning and checking to see where my teammates are, what condition they're in, and where the enemy is. Like that's happening 24/7 in my head. I almost wanted to talk about it first point. I didn't. I'm going to now. I'm gonna go back and talk about it. Let's see. I think it was the fight before this. Let's see. Yeah. Right. Is it here? Yeah, it's right here. Okay. This is like such a small thing. And this is why I wasn't going to talk about it, but it relates to like awareness,
Okay.
which is it's different. Awareness is different based on different categories. So you probably have pretty good DPS awareness already. And that usually entails paying attention to the enemy and where the enemy's doing and where they're going and what they want to do and how to kind of deny that. Support awareness relies much more on like your team and what your team's trying to do and knowing what's going on with your team at all times. I got slightly uncomfortable watching this because we look away from our hog for just like a little too long. Like it just made me uncomfortable because he's not on my screen and I'm not updating my mental checklist of is everyone okay and what they're doing. And while yes, your hog should survive on his own for 4 seconds with 800 HP and breather, I just don't know, what's happening with him. And so I get this sense of anxiety. This isn't a conscious thing. This comes from thousands of hours of playing support. But when I don't see someone on my screen and I'm not aware of what condition they're in, my brain is like, I need to look. Like I need to just like make sure they're okay. And that gets overridden sometimes. But just watch. You only look away for 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. But to me, it's too long to not know what's going on.
Okay.
Maybe that wasn't a great example. But really, like updating where my teammates are, where the enemies are. It's the same thing with this venture, right? I know that there are people here. I don't know where, but I know that they're here. And so when I'm looking away from this doorway, I don't know what's going on with this doorway anymore. And so I want to keep this in my field of view while I'm doing whatever I'm doing so that when someone walks through there, I can react to it in time.
Okay.
Right? If I'm doing the same exact thing that you're doing now, I'm going to be doing it from an angle where this doorway's in my field of view somehow, some way, or I'm just not going to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's hard to teach though. That's why I didn't want to spend as long as I spent on it, but I did because that's what I do. So. Let's see, what question do I want to ask? Oh, I figured it out. Do we know if what do we know about our hog right now? We know something about him, but what do we know about him?
He's very hurt.
Right. Right, and he's been very hurt, right? So here he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Hog is critical for the first time, right? But he's like lightly critical. Okay?
Yeah.
What is currently damaging our hog? Pretend you don't have wall hacks and you don't know where everyone is on their enemy team. What is in game? What is currently damaging our hog from your perspective?
I don't
Trick
know.
question. You don't know, right? What is in between you and your hog right now? It's easy.
A wall.
A wall. There's a wall. So you can't see what's happening to him, right? All you can see is that he's critical. Do you know how long it's going to take for your hog to die if you don't get to him?
I don't know.
So what do you need to assume in this situation when you don't know how long he's going to live?
He's definitely going to die.
He's going to die. Do you have a way to make sure he doesn't die?
I do.
Or at least help him a little bit?
Yeah, I do.
You do, right? What I'm getting at here is that you have no idea how long or how short your hog's remaining lifespan is, okay? Because for all you know, there could be multiple enemies in here shooting him, and this could disappear in less than half of a second, right?
Mm.
What you do know is that this guy's not going to die in the next half of a second. He's going to be okay, right? Now, is he critical? Yes. Is he a higher priority target than your hog to help? No, your hog is currently using whole hog against an unknown amount of enemies, taking an unknown amount of damage. And so what I'm going at here is priorities. You need to make a priority list. And this one has to be automatic. You don't know what's happening to your hog. You don't know how long he's going to live. All you know is he's ulting and he probably needs help, right? Mm-hmm. You're in there, you TP, you Suzu, and then you very quickly, hopefully, evaluate the situation for yourself. Kind of as soon as I TP and Suzu, I forget about my tank entirely, and my entire focus is on self-survival and how to get out of that situation alive. A little more advanced. Yeah. But you need to, right. Yeah.
I think, yeah, sometimes I do get a little nervous because I don't want to just TP in there and be like, oh, I'll save you. And I TP into like the whole team and then I just get instantly killed.
I struggled with that for a long time.
Hmm.
Here's a good way to think about it. What happens if you don't TP in there and Suzu your hog and he dies? What happens if your hog just dies right now?
We're gonna lose the fight probably.
Not probably. Okay?
Yeah.
You're going to lose the fight.
Hmm.
If your win condition to the fight, if the entire fight winning relies on your hog living here, then you have to do everything you can to make your hog live. And now we're
Yeah.
starting to get really in depth here about like thinking about your win condition. But usually, just like if you don't know what your win condition is, it's your tank staying alive. You can win a fight with a dead tank. You can't win a fight with a dead tank if their tank gets healed back to full and like ready for you to fight them or whatever the case may be, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes, like I'm not kidding. I did the same exact thing that you're talking about. I'd be in like high level scrims, and I would be too hesitant to like go in there and Suzu my tank without knowing what's happening to him. And you just have to say, I'd rather, you know, I'd rather take the risk and see and like make sure that he lives here so that we can win this fight. And maybe I can live, right? You're not guaranteed to die if you TP in here and Suzu him. You're obviously going to be more likely to die than you would be outside, but you're not guaranteed to die. Um, Whereas if he dies, then no matter what you do, it doesn't matter. You're going to lose. So you
Yeah.
have a chance to lose versus you're guaranteed to lose.
Right.
Probably spent too long on that as well, but that's probably gonna happen a couple times per game on Kiriko, where like someone is out of your LOS, they're some amount of critical, and you could TP in Suzu, and you need to figure out whether or not that's a good play. Just ask yourself, do I need this person to win? Like, like is my life more valuable than this person's life right now?
Right.
And if they're like the same amount of value, you still go in there because there's a chance you live. If they're not the same amount of value, if they're more important than you go in there every time. And if they're less
Right.
important than you, just never go in. And you have to figure that out in game. That's the hard part.
Okay.
Dead.
Yep.
MVP Mercy. There's a Junkrat. Yep.
I'm with you.
Do you have any like general preconceived notions about how Kitsune should be used or when Kitsune should be used or in what situations? Do you have any like thoughts about it before I tell you how to use it?
Um. So generally, I it's obviously great to place it down. Well, I guess that is super situational. Pretty much wait for them to try and engage on you because you don't want them to be able to run away from it. You want to catch them as they're coming in so that you can get maximum value. So I usually try and wait until their team is looking to make a play so they can't just like run away.
Okay, good. Do you feel like it's easy to do that in game? It's obvious to do that in game for you, or do you feel like you still sometimes you'll pop it and then they'll just be able to run away from it?
I feel like it's pretty easy actually. I think
Good.
it's
Okay.
it's relatively intuitive. I feel like I have a good idea since I play enough DPS of like when they're looking to start a fight.
Okay. Good.
So,
Yeah. Then I don't need to talk about it that much. When I first started playing Kiriko, like right at the start of Overwatch 2, for whatever reason I couldn't figure it out. Like it took me forever. But right now, I can't remember the last time I've used a Kiriko ult and they've been able to run away from it. And so if you feel like you already kind of recognize those situations and understand those situations, then we don't need to talk about it much more.
I obviously still like use it wrong sometimes, but
Yeah, I mean, there's a but like you told me the correct use case. You're using it either during an engage, like a fight engage, or like mid fight, so that they're not able to run away from it.
mhm.
You're not just like using it to chase them down or whatever. I don't know why else people would use it, but I'm sure there's plenty of reasons.
Sometimes I will also like to use it if they're like putting a lot of pressure on the team and then like let's say the tank is like really low and they're getting pressured still, I'll pop it so I can just throw paper faster
Yeah,
to keep
yeah,
them alive, right? So like
yeah. But as
it's
long as you're able to fight in the kitsune, that's like that's what you're trying to do.
mhm.
Taking advantage of the cooldown reduction is just really big, and the obviously the speed. of fire rate. Goodness, words. I've also, this is just a side note, not really a coaching opportunity. I've watched you walk past like 4 Junkrat traps this match. I don't know if like you just don't see them or you just don't care, but
I don't see them. It is
okay.
like one of my big
Okay.
weaknesses, honestly. I don't see them. I really don't.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't really know how to work on it, but like your hog also doesn't see them. This one was just like on your screen, and I'm just like it's literally all I can look at when it's on my screen because it's just like a trained thing, right? Like I'm used to it. I'm ready for it. But
Yeah.
I saw it right here. Like this is, I mean, this is a little far fetched for most people, but so in third person view, it's going to show from his team's perspective. But when I go back to your perspective, it's still there. It's just like much harder to see. And then you'll like have it on screen for 5 seconds, and you just have to. I don't really know how to like start seeing it, but you just have to start seeing it and figure that out somehow, right? Because this is all I can see on my screen right now. Like I can't even look at your tank. I'm just like, there's a Junkrat trap, and I need to like.
Soothing your wounds.
You're not quite as bad about healing full health targets as you could be. I've seen a lot of Kirikos who are worse off, but it is still like a very big thing for you. So we're gonna stick with that because that comes back to uptime, right? The more time we spend doing less valuable actions, the worse it's gonna be for us. And so we're not even worried about which valuable action we're doing. We're just making sure we're doing a valuable action at all times, hopefully.
Right.
And that's either healing someone who needs healing, dealing damage to the enemy, or if we cannot see the enemy and no one needs healing, potentially looking for an angle to be able to do damage, whether that's pushing a little farther into their spawn because we have a TP to go out, whatever the issue may be, but always doing something valuable.
Right.
If they're literally like in spawn, and no one needs healing, and like there's just no way you can do healing or damage or repositioning or whatever, then you can press tab and start thinking about their team comp and their ults. So
Okay.
always doing something valuable.
Yeah.
More to fade. Healing full health. Doing damage, good. Healing someone who needs healing, good. Good Kitsune, I'd say do it earlier. You know they're going to contest the point if they want to win the fight. And they had already been on the point, right? It's not like they weren't on the point. This is still good. You could have just done it probably 3 seconds earlier, and it just would have created a lot of issues for their team. I like your positioning here. You're honestly a little passive, but I'd rather you be too passive on support and then dial it up than too aggressive and dial it back. But in general, like cover usage is good. The only reason it's a little too passive is because we're not really able to see what's happening to our tank. That's okay. Right. You know, as long as you make sure he's not about to die, I don't really care. But just keeping him in your field of view is usually a good idea. And obviously you're helping your Zen out. You're not helping your tank out right now, but. Stay in your Kitsune if you can. Nice. Not bad. I think let's go just one more time. I like the damage. Do you have oh, you're on controller. Shoot. Never mind on that one. I was gonna say, do you have your teleport bound to scroll wheel, but you don't.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it just helps like to be able to hit a split second. You know, I'll literally like fling my camera around, just scrolling desperately, hoping to hit somebody.
I do have it on I have paddles on my controller. I do have
Okay.
it bound to a back paddle, so I can still like look around while I don't have to take my finger off the stick.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, anytime you're within a kill range of anybody, especially if they're still able to shoot at you, you're looking to Suzu and then TP out, or TP out and then Suzu. If you're like not able to Suzu yourself because you're flying in midair, you're trying to TP immediately, which is what you do. You obviously don't find the best TP target. You're still in the same exact spot, but
right.
TP and then Suzu. I would have Suzu'd here. I know he just got the kill, but I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to live, god damn it. So Suzu. That was good. You stayed alive through the ult. Your ult was in a very valuable location. You did damage mid-fight. It was good. It was solid. I like it. Healing full health. Healing full health. Healing full health. Damage. Nice. Good. Damage. Go back to 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 damage. Okay, this is fine. Damage. You see, this is just like the generic downtime that a lot of Kirikos have. This isn't a this just happens to a lot of people. And you just have to find these. Honestly, I think it's easy to find these moments in your own VODs once you kind of understand what you're looking for. But just anytime you're not doing something valuable, and there's not a lot of valuable things to be doing. So you can probably find these without me. I just needed to point them out to you initially so that you could see, am I healing someone who needs healing? If the answer is no, do something else. You know, am I? Yep.
I need a little like voice line of you saying, "Deal the damage, deal the damage,
Yeah.
deal the damage."
Yeah. This is an easy fix for you though. I promise. This is not a difficult concept like learning to flank on soldier. This is like day one of learning Kiriko. You know how to use the abilities. Obviously, her abilities are actually kind of complicated. I can't really even talk to you about like advanced ways to work with Suzu and mainly Suzu. I'm gonna be honest, and like how to take, because Kiriko's also a very good off angler. But I'm not gonna worry about any of that yet. Like we have to fill up our time with valuable actions before I can talk about how to get more value or how to get better value, or we have to cut out. This is the equivalent. And on soldier, it's easy because your valuable action is doing damage to the enemy. There's only one, right? There's no like wrong action to be taking. Yeah. There's mistakes you can take while you do the correct action. But on support, there are things you can do that provide no value to your team. This would be the equivalent of standing around on soldier and not shooting the enemy while they walk by you. And you're never going to do that, right? Like,
right.
Yep. Wow, your whole team can't see the traps. It's like invisible. We are looking to Suzu if the target's anywhere near us. No worries. Nothing you can do to save your Tracer here. Your Tracer is dead to a Riptide. Oh, your Tracer's in a trap. Okay. Yep, not sure what that's about. Probably not a whole lot to do about this one. Obviously, we could be a little more aware of what's happening to our team. But in Diamond 5, I don't expect you to be looking behind you very often. That's not really... honestly, there's not very many people in the game, period, that look behind them very frequently because a lot of the times there's just no need to. You'll see high-level supports will. I don't know where that comes in on console. I know it's slightly different, but like the way to recognize that you need to look behind you is if on your screen there's currently 2 people plus you, and your Tracer just died to your left, so that's 4 people. When was the last time you updated your mental checklist on your Zenyatta? When was the last time you like just figured out where he was? Not even if he's okay, just like the last time you saw him on your screen, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, right? and like the main reason why you're not updating your list on your Zenyatta is because he's like, you probably think he's fine. He's behind you somewhere or off on some side angle. Like, you don't really think he's ever going to be in trouble. The enemy team's probably in front of you. But a good player, a good support player specifically, is just going to have a very good awareness of where their team is and what they're doing. All 5 members at all times. So this is an experience issue. I don't expect you to ever like look behind and see that he's in trouble here. But as you get better, you'll be like, where is my Zenyatta? And, oh, I don't see their tank. Maybe their tank is doing something devious to my Zenyatta, who could be anywhere on the map. I don't really know. Healing full health. Nice try.
Just missed it.
You're just at a 2-player disadvantage and an ult disadvantage. Not really too much to talk about here. Like, yeah, sure, we could have hit the Suzu or whatever. Did it matter? Like, yeah, probably not. Probably didn't.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't even. Diva Bomb looked like it might have killed you there, but I guess we get just under this cover far enough. Let's put this in 0.25. I think the bomb is on your screen when it explodes. Yeesh. I guess
Yeah,
it
that's
just barely doesn't. Yeah, just barely doesn't hit your model. I don't know if you know this, but Diva Bomb works as a point entity, so the explosion comes from a singular point. It's not the entire bomb, and as long as that singular point does not have LOS on you, then it will not do damage to you. And that is why you can hide behind ridiculously skinny things like a little lamppost, like much skinnier than this. Basically anything that has a hitbox, as long as you perfectly line up that hitbox. I'm looking for an example of something even smaller. It doesn't look like we're going to find anything. But as long as you can perfectly line up that hitbox with the center of the Diva Bomb, you won't take any damage from it, even if you can see 98% of the bomb on your screen. So, fun fact there. Usually not that useful. Occasionally it helps, though. Did you know that Kiriko has invincibility frames on her teleport?
Yeah.
Good. So if you don't have Suzu and you're out in the middle of the open and you can't figure out how to get away from a Diva Bomb, you can perfectly time your teleport to not take any damage. That works with Diva Bomb, High Noon, EMP, anything that happens in a single instant that works for once you get the timing down. Although I think that good Kirikos will never rely on that. I personally don't think I've ever used my teleport in the last month to avoid some sort of ult because I'm always using some other part of my kit to deal with it.
Right.
But if you find yourself in that situation, don't be afraid to try it.
Okay. Like a gentle rain. Hey, big guy, let the Kitsune guide you.
Okay. Pretty sure he was coming back from spawn. Had to check. Hadn't seen him in a long time. I think you're Zen. Okay. I was just doing a check for myself there. Wasn't sure where either of those people were this fight. This is good. Probably needed to happen a little bit faster, but you make the play before he dies. I also like the Kitsune, but your hog needs more attention before he's going to be comfortable going back in. So, yeah, the back of the Kitsune does not extend at all from where you're standing. So if you walk back, the benefits are just gone. Hopefully your hog walks forward. Just like make the conscious effort after you Suzu him to really line up your crosshair on him and get the heals onto him. Not a bad fight from you. There's also just like no thinking to be done. We just TP in Suzu to save because he needs saved. We Kitsune. That was a good Kitsune, by the way. I like that Kitsune. And then we just heal until we win the fight, hopefully. This is good. I like this. One thing that you don't have to worry about yet, because you're not even doing this action enough yet to worry about this, but eventually once this becomes second nature for you to do damage in your free time, you're going to want to think about what is like basically the fastest way they can kill me, or what is the most likely way they can kill me, and make sure that's not happening to you, right? And so the most obvious pronounced example of this is if they're playing Widowmaker, they can shoot you in the face and you die in one shot. So generally speaking, not peeking the Widowmaker when you're doing damage is important. On the other end of the spectrum, if they have Reaper, Venture, let's say Mauga at long range, Lucio, and Moira, right? You can kind of just sit there and spam forever and not really worry about it. So it does matter what their comp is. If they have like a Hanzo and a pocketed Ashe, you're going to do a lot less of what you're doing right now. But honestly, I don't want you to worry about that until you consistently do this anytime you get the chance. The only reason I even bring that up is because it matters a lot more if you die first on support, especially like
Yeah.
when you're playing Kiriko and your other support is like a Zen or Lucio or a Brig or a Mercy, right? Dying first is just like probably the worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
yep. And so while doing damage is a very big priority for everyone I coach on support, always doing damage, not dying for is important. Nice try on the Suzu. Is just like a mechanic issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm usually better with those, honestly. I
Yeah,
think I was just
it
struggling on it this game.
happens. Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's not really a coaching thing. You had the awareness that you needed help, just couldn't quite hit the shot.
My gift to you.
Do you have your Overwatch pulled up
On fire.
by
do.
chance? Can you go into your Kiriko specific settings for me?
Sure. Let's see.
And just read the I think there's 4 of them. Just what you have them on.
Okay. What did you want us?
The Kiriko specific settings. So when you go down to hero, you go underneath show friendly outlines to healing Ofuda sensitivity, and then the 4 included there. Can you just tell me what the setting is and what you have it on?
I see. Healing of Fuda sensitivity is 100. Toggle is on. Swift step sensitivity is 50%. Oh, and I just got disconnected for some reason.
The only other one is automatically climb walls. When you walk up to a wall with space pressed, so not pressing space on the wall, you already have space pressed and you walk up to a wall. Does your character already go up or no? Do you have to
Oh,
actually press space on the wall or jump?
No, you actually have to press jump. I had
Good.
that on for a little while and I hated it, so I turned
Okay,
it back
good.
off.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you. Do you have a good idea of what each of them do, or I can just go through what they do. I don't want to patronize you if you know what they do, but I'll just explain them.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So the healing of Fuda sensitivity basically means if you have an overlapping target. Let me go into a practice range and give you a visual. We're at 99% blue team, 3rd point. These settings are important. Having the right ones. There's one specifically that's more important than the rest, but I'll just go through all of them since we're talking about them. The sensitivity is just going to be how big the hitbox is on the kit. So you see how this big rectangle or diamond or whatever.
Yeah.
If I heal anywhere inside this, you see the paper is gold, right?
Right.
When I go outside of this, hold on. This is because my setting's on 100%. So I have to go this far outside for it to not be a lock-on anymore, right?
I see.
And so where this comes a problem, if you have multiple teammates stacked up and your healing's on 100%, it can be hard to give it to the correct teammate, right? So
Yeah.
this is personal preference. I keep it on 100 because I feel like I'm very accurate. I'm a very accurate player with my Ofuda, and I can pretty easily control who I want it to go on. So I have not had problems on 100. It is a preference thing though. If you notice that when your teammates group up, you cannot get it to who you want it to get on, and it gets stuck on the wrong person, I recommend turning it down.
Okay.
But play around with that one. That one's up to you what you want to do with it. Toggle is the most important setting, and so toggle is always going to be off. So you said you had yours on. Toggle has to be off.
Okay.
When it's on, basically what it means. So for me, the Ofuda is on my right click. For you, it's on your trigger. One of your triggers probably. If I just press my right click one time with toggle on, it'll send all 5 papers, and I have I can't cancel it at without pressing the button again, right? So I have to press 2 inputs to get it to stop, and then if I just press it and let go of it, it sends all 5. If I turn it off, I hold the button for as long as I want, and then the paper goes away, right? That's what a toggle is. You know what that is. I mean, basically, this is important because it relates back to uptime. If my teammate is missing, 40 HP, I only need to send them 2 or maybe 3, whatever the numbers are. I only need to send them a couple papers. I don't need to send them 5, right?
Yeah.
So you'll send 2 and then I'll go back to damage. Or I'll send them 1 and go back to damage. Or I'll send them 4 and go back to damage. Instead of sending 5 at a character that doesn't need 5, because I just wasted 2 papers that I could have been doing damage with. Right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So if someone doesn't need all 5, don't give them all 5. Give them 1. Turn away. Shoot. Give them 4. Whatever they need. It doesn't matter. Okay?
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So keep that off. And then swift sensitivity is going to be the... maybe this is what the box is? Nope, that's not. I don't know what the box stands for then. But it's just how far away can you be looking at someone and still be able to teleport to them.
Right.
And so this has... Oh, this is what this is. So I can teleport to this guy right now. Despite my crosshair being a million miles away. Because I have it on 100. And this, again, same as before. This is personal preference. But it does mean that if 2 people are right next to each other, it's going to be hard to individually pick the one you want to teleport to.
Right.
So it's going to be up to you, again, preference. Mine's on 100. I know good Kirikos that have it way less. I know it's just everywhere. So figure out what you like.
Okay, well, I'll just, I mean, since you have it hot, I'll just put it at 100 for now, try it out, and if I feel like I'm having problems, I'll just go with it.
Right. If you feel like you can't differentiate, if you can't reliably select the target you want to teleport to, turn it down. But, yeah. And then the last one is like automatically climb walls. Just keep that one off. There's really no reason to ever have that one on. So.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yep. The toggle healing of food is mainly the most important one because it relates to uptime. Okay. So yeah, we'll go back to the VOD now.
Yeah, I'm just quickly in the practice range and trying that, and it honestly just feels so much more fluid.
Yep.
Instantly.
Everyone needs to have that one on.
Okay, cool.
We are Suravasa. I can't pull up my Discord right now. I'm just going to pick one of these, and if it's the wrong one, I'll go to the other one. I don't know which one it is because I've been doing a lot of codes recently. Sus? Nice. Wait, no. Suravasa was the last game. We're on...
It was, yeah. It was Junkertown.
Junkertown. Oopsie. Wait, Junkertown.
Oh, wait, no.
It was Suravasa again, wasn't it? Or New Junk City.
No,
it was New Junk City.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, ooh. Okay. New Junk City. This one, maybe... Yeah, it's only New Junk City have my codes. Sweet.
Ready for battle.
And we had 99% blue team on the 3rd point. Right.
My gift to you.
Yeah, so this was a good example of like the accuracy issues, and I don't want to talk about this too long, but like every blue paper that goes out or every paper that ends up into a wall or a floor is just more downtime. And again, honestly, it's not even a Kiriko thing in general. It's kind of like a support thing, just like reducing the amount of useless actions you have, because support really is the role where you can have useless actions. So
right. Okay.
Feels like sewing, huh?
full health. Good. Really good. Right, supporting DPS on the off angle. Very important. Okay, 1 volley during the Transcendence when everyone's full health, 1 volley when they're antied. All time that we could be shooting, yep. Hello. Let's talk about it.
Hey.
Honestly, I kind of like it. I'm kind of okay with this. It is unfortunate that so many people look at you right when you do this, and they're not looking at you, they're looking at your soldier, and you just happen to exist where he exists when this happens. He gets 1 shot. But in general, like, you realized that this fight was kind of okay on its own. I mean, sure,
Yeah.
you would have had an impact here, but you didn't really like need to be here. And you probably weren't like impacting this that much. You're kind of just healing hog, which is fine.
Hmm.
If you teleport down to the soldier and you don't really know what's happening, this is the hard part of Kiriko. You don't know what's happening with these people that you're going to help. That's like the hardest part of this character.
Yeah.
If he is in a 1v1 with anyone on their team, and you know it's not going to be the Orisa, right? You know he's not 1v1 in the Orisa right now. Let's actually go back. Let's slow this down for my sake. That's an Orisa and that's a Junkrat. We might be able, and I say might because I am a top 500 player and I didn't make this inference the first time I watched it. So actually this is probably too theoretical. We might be able to realize that no one followed the Orisa. And that means there's probably more than one person on our soldier right now. You know,
Okay.
if you're a brainiac, you might be able to think that. I probably would just do the exact same thing you just did.
Right.
And just teleport to this guy. But if he's in a 1v1 with anyone down here, which isn't unrealistic, right? There could be people up here on this catwalk exactly like there are trying to help the Orisa that just aren't in LOS to do it. Teleporting down here and Suzuing him during a 1v1 is extremely impactful, right?
Hmm.
Extremely impactful. Fight winning impactful. So basically where I'm going with this is I like this. Sometimes you're just going to make what you think is the correct play and you're wrong because that's how teleporting to teammates through walls works. You don't know what's going
Right.
on. But as long as the thought process behind it was logical and you can evaluate that afterwards, then yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I don't get like a gentle rain.
There is something to be said about how to play Kiriko with, or honestly, any support. Do you know flex support versus main support, what the distinction is?
I'm familiar with the concept. I don't know if I could necessarily classify them though.
Okay, I'm going to give you a different classification. That's the most commonly used one. I'm just going to say like main support versus off support. Doesn't mean the same thing, which is weird, I know, but basically split them up into two categories in your head. Ones that heal a lot and ones that don't heal a lot. That's pretty simple
Okay.
to think about, right? Who would you put in the doesn't heal a lot category usually?
Like Lucio,
Yep.
Alari,
Yep.
uh, maybe Brig,
Zen, Zen,
Zen.
Brig.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and although like Brig can end up with large healing numbers, she doesn't like burst heal very well, right?
Right.
Um and so
Mercy
main
maybe.
healer, just think main healer as someone who can sustain a tank on their own. That's kind of what I like to. So Ana,
Okay.
Kiriko, Baptiste, Moira. I'm sure that there are others. Lifeweaver. Those are supports that don't need another support to heal a tank usually. And then Zen, Lucio, Brig, Mercy, Alari kind of need help to sustain a tank on their own.
Yeah.
If you are, there's something to be said. If you're playing Kiriko, someone who can't sustain a tank on her own, with Zen, someone who cannot sustain a tank on their own, that is going to dictate how much time you need to spend with your tank.
I see.
If your Zen right now was an Ana, I would be telling you to play this game quite differently. Think of yourself as like a third DPS that can heal if needed, but healing's no longer your most important job. Or if it is, you're paying more attention to your DPS because if you leave a support alone, playing an Ana or a Moira or whatever, they're almost always going to autopilot with their tank. And that's not like a terrible thing to autopilot with, right? That's why people do it because it's easy and because it usually works. I'm an Ana, I need to heal my tank. So you let them heal the tank, and then you play with your other DPS, like as a third DPS. You know, you come over here, you shoot on the off angle just like you would with Soldier. You heal your Soldier to help him stay on this off angle that's really strong. And then if your tank needs help, you can teleport back to them and help that fight. I want to introduce you to this because we're only going to go over one Kiriko code today. And so we're never going to get a game where you're in there with like an Ana and a Kiriko or a Baptiste and a Kiriko, or this applies when you're playing those characters too. If you're playing Baptiste and your teammate picks Ana, let them kind of babysit your tank and go play with your DPS on some sort of off angle somewhere and support them
Right.
on that. Or right, it's the same exact idea as playing Soldier and not sending 5 down main. there's a reason it's good, not sending 5 down main. You can do it on support too. It's just you can't abandon your tank, right?
Yeah.
And so you're not going to do that if Zen is like if Zen is your only support and he's playing with the tank. You kind of just both have to play with the tank because your Zen can't support your Hog on his own. But does that idea make sense to you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Side tangent, but like we're not going to get a good example to talk about it. So positioning on support is easier than positioning on DPS in my opinion, especially in a match where you're not getting dove. So
Right.
like this match, you're not getting dove at all. No one's pressuring your backline really. So it's like I don't really talk about positioning that much this game. If you come to me later and you have an Ana code, I know you didn't play Ana, but just a theoretical, and they're playing Monkey, Lucio, Genji, we're probably only going to talk about positioning that game. So
Right. Yeah.
a very, very important concept, but just not in this game. And I don't want you to think that since I didn't talk about it, it's not important. So
Okay.
Kakaya? Carried on the wind. Kakaya?
yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. This one just is like, I think this is just an experience. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what I even want to say about it, but hey, watch it one more time.
Carried on the wind. Kakaya?
My gut is telling me it's not even that bad of a TP, so I'm gonna trust myself on that one. It's okay to just get on the off angle, figure out what's going on, right? He clearly wasn't in danger when you teleported to him, so you're not expecting to die there. Okay. I think where me and you would have gone different in this fight, is what we do immediately after we teleport to him. Because my initial instinct is always going to be to figure out what situation I just put myself in. That's number
Okay.
one priority every time I TP, and I don't think you spent enough time doing that.
Kakaya?
Again, like this is just a little unfortunate that it happened the way it did, but
Carried on the wind.
I think I was just expecting to sort of take a fight with the soldier, but then he kind of just ran away.
yeah, and but the thing is, like, this one you just can't blame it on the soldier, right? He's like poking
Yeah.
and prodding. He's figuring out what angle he wants to play on, and this happens all the time, in higher elo where like a DPS will try and take an angle, realize it's a bad one, and then leave. And if you followed him into that mess and you die because of it, like it's not his fault. Like he's just trying to do his job, right? So
Right. Okay.
you
Kakaya?
TP, you immediately figure out what's happening, whereas you're kind of like a little slow to look left. You finally figure it out, right? You're like, okay, that's an enemy. It's like, what is my best play from here? And the Junkrat trap just like cements your fate. It's mostly unlucky, I would say. But just teleporting here and then looking left sooner would have made you maybe realize that there's a person there that you have to deal with. Maybe you go through this door, maybe you don't, maybe you die anyways. This could just be an unlucky death, but dying first here means your team doesn't even get a fight here on this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, some of those deaths just happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Womp womp. I don't know if you even have an opinion on this yet, but do you have an opinion, not from this replay, just at overarching Kiriko feel in general, on whether or not you think you use your Suzus consistently too early, consistently too late, or if it's just kind of random based on the game, whether it's too early, too late, or if you feel like you're pretty good about being on time with them most of the time? Do you have any feeling on that?
Good question. I would say, um, I think I've played Kiriko not a lot, but enough that I've sort of gone through a bit of a journey with Suzu. Honestly, I
Yep.
started really using it too late, like way too late. Because I had the too good to use syndrome, where I was like, well, I
Uh-huh.
don't want to waste it. So I would constantly hold it in fear of like using it at a bad time and then people just die. So I forced myself to just start throwing it.
Uh-huh.
So I think I have gotten more consistent with it, but I do think that I probably use it more late than early.
Okay. That's pretty common. I'd say more people use it too late than too early.
Yeah.
Um, my advice for you on Suzu is try and lean towards early if you can.
Hmm.
Um, because if you throw it too late, you obviously get no value from it. If you throw it too early, you're still usually going to get something from it.
Sure.
That's easier said than done. Another reason why it's really important to try and get into a habit of using it early is because if you climb the ranks, the game gets faster. That happens. The speed of play gets faster. I'm not sure how much faster. Again, console experience. Don't have a ton of it here, but I know at PC, like the difference between a diamond game and a masters game and a GM game are three completely different speeds of play. Totally
Hmm.
different. Feels entirely different. And as the game gets faster, you need to get faster with these travel time abilities. And so that's like one of the things that I still have an issue with in top 500 is that my Suzers are too late because I am not at the speed of the game yet. And so getting into a habit of using them a little bit early will help you as you climb and the game gets faster to stay on top of that and not be Suzering people a second after they die or a quarter of a second after they die or whatever.
Right.
This specific one is not really your fault though. I don't even know what he's doing, but he's not living no matter what you do to him right here.
Yeah. I could have been faster with it, but
He's still dead.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, he is. And then we heal the wall. And then we shoot the wall. Okay. I'm being a little too harsh here, but lots of downtime in this fight. Even after our Zen dies, we spend a couple seconds figuring out what's going on and what we want to do about it and where we want to go and who we need to heal. Our Tracer is begging for paper.
Under my protection. Let the Kitsune guide you.
Wow, she's a robot. I was honestly about to make a comment on how this is the first one you've used where they can actually kite it if they want to, and then she just marched up the center of your Kitsune and died. So, good Kitsune. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. What the fuck was that, dude?
Yeah, I have no idea. Oh, what
That
did
is
she think?
hilarious, is what that is. It's the only reason it's so funny to me is because she got the recent slow on a fortify. So
Oh,
instead
that's
of her
right.
walking up, she's literally just like trudging up the middle of this death tunnel and dies. Okay. All right.
Oh man.
Carry on.
I think I mean yeah, it's probably whatever, but I think I sometimes this was one of those instances where sometimes like the teams are sort of at a stalemate, like nothing is really happening in those like 10 seconds before I ulted. So I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna throw ult because like something needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, the good news for you is that even if they kited it, they would have given you point, and that's not a
Right.
bad outcome. Is flipping point. But like a good team here, and by good team, I don't mean like, I mean Diamond is good. Okay, players in Diamond are not bad at the game. How about I put it like this: a team that I play against, the Orisa is running away right there. I
Right.
use it from this range, right? This is where we casted it, and she's in the middle of point. She will run away, and we'll take the point, but then they'll just come back and re-engage with their own Kitsune.
Hmm.
And then they'll use it in a way where we can't just run away and we'll lose basically. So
Okay.
um it works. It's fine. Just as you climb, ones like these where they're a little bit like, I mean, it really does just depend on how far away from you they are when you use it. And this one specifically, right? The nearest enemy to you is pretty far, right? This is a pretty good distance.
Yeah.
One way you could avoid this is quite literally just by using it from here instead. I mean, it's just 5 meters more favorable. It makes it that much harder for them to get away from it. So,
Okay.
but it works.
Got you. The battle ignites me.
Whole lot of downtime.
I've got you.
Healing full health. Healing full health.
What's up?
You can run into the tranquility to also not take damage, but I understand that you're trying to get away from the threat because that's the natural thing to do. But it might just be easier here for your team to kill this guy if you all just walk at him in the Transcendence. And you can still kind of play this little pillar here to get the trans healing and not be in LOS with these people when it ends.
Okay.
Small thing. Not that worried about it. There's actually a lot of small things in this fight that I would love to talk about in a future VOD review when you fixed your downtime issue, because the downtime issue is just so glaringly large for me that I can't really go in depth about like really small things that I want to talk about yet, and that's okay. Yeah, a fight like this would be a great one to talk about when we're able to think about more support things. Just curious, do you play like any amount of Moira? Oh, that's
like,
okay.
well,
Done playing
I've
around.
played her like maybe 10 games, but
Yeah, that's fine. I was just, you don't need a player, but she is a really good support for the idea of prioritizing your own life. She teaches you that better than any other support does. And a lot of support players need to work on prioritizing their own life. I need to go back and figure out why we lost that fight, by the way. I zoned out a little bit because I was worried about all the small things that I wasn't talking about. But
No
we need
worries.
to think about our own life more than we need to worry about other people. So if we have, and the reason Moira teaches this so well, she has lifesteal on her damage, so doing damage directly keeps her alive.
Right.
And so if you have a critical teammate next to you who you know with certainty will die if you do not heal them in the next 1 second, and you have 50 HP and you might die in the next 1 second if you don't get healing of your own, you need to go for the damage so that you start healing and that you live. And that's a very obvious example, but Moira teaches you that very well. Kiriko's the same way, and where this thought is coming from is when we are getting attacked here, our first instinct has to be to fight back and kill this guy so we can live, not to heal our low health teammates on the other side of the map.
Okay.
And this is probably just a panic thing. Like I don't have enough experience playing this character thing, but you'll notice right here, like your only chance of living here is killing this guy or TPing. You can TP as well, but killing this guy is also an option. And instead of doing either of those, what you do is you try and send a volley of healing at Hog. Again, probably a panic thing. Not really too worried about it, but
yeah.
all right.
I think maybe what I was thinking about was like, I think maybe I just had accepted that I was already dead.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to like do anything before I died, but
Yeah.
like like you said, I could have like TP'd away or, but yeah, I totally see the point that you're making.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens. All right, let me actually watch this fight and figure out what the hell happened while I was not paying attention. They have 2 ults going on. We have 1. We have 5 people. Okay, 5v5. Both teams are ulting. Still good for our team. I gotta go back 5. Junkrat does all the damage, I think. No? Yes. All right. Your perspective now. Wow, that all happened extremely fast. We were really good, and then we were very quickly not good.
Yep.
Well, that's just so unfortunate. Look at this. I went back 5 seconds, by the way. And we have 4 full health people with 3 separate angles. And then 5 seconds from now, the fight's already over. Let's watch this in halftime. Not your fault. That kill's not your fault. Honestly, I really love you trying to support your off angle here. Because this, again, like I said before, this guy's going to win you the game. This guy is going to do his job, and he's going to prolong the fight. This guy's going to win you the game.
Right.
Assuming your Zen hadn't died already, which he has. Your Hog also goes to 1 HP in literally no time. I think the biggest takeaway here for your gameplay specifically is going to be not to waste your TP. I think
Okay.
this is where a lot of it goes wrong because you take a lot of damage while you still don't have TP. You get TP back eventually where you could live. I don't think that has any impact on the outcome of the fight. But it is a mistake using your TP on someone who you're already in LOS of them. So you're not using TP to get LOS. I think
No,
you
I think I
maybe
was
are just
repositioning away from the ram.
right.
I
But
was
are
trying
you,
to
but you just need to ask yourself, like, am I actually repositioning? Like, does this TP make me any farther away from the ram than I already am? Right.
It does put Hog between us, but it actually put me closer to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're still in the transcendence. You're okay. You don't need to worry about it yet. So we used the TP unnecessarily. Again, don't really think that impacts anything. The Suzu was unlucky. We used it at the same time as the Transcendence, but that's something I was gonna talk about. That's like knowing the priority of saving abilities, basically, which is something you're not worrying about yet. So we're not going to talk about that yet. But that's something fun that might be coming up in the future for you.
Okay.
Trying to do damage, trying to support our off angle. All right, I'm gonna say securely not your fault on this fight. That's what I'm gonna say. It sucks. It sucks that it happens like that, but it does happen. I don't think any action you have here has that much of an impact, honestly. Last fight.
Soldier 76 reporting for duty.
We have Hoggle.
Draw strength from nature.
Ooh.
I heard the sound effect on my.
I
At least when I
know,
was
I
playing.
know,
It's
I
just,
know.
just too late.
I know it, and this happens again. This happens, and I have nothing to coach here. Phew, it sucks, but what I like to think of when I see, I think only Tyre. I think Tyre's the only ability that really has this interaction that I'm worrying about. What I think of here is that I need to Suzu early to give myself time to find a TP away. Because Suzuing late obviously gets you killed. Suzuing early still lets him kill you because Tyre's likely not going to be destroyed when the Suzu runs out. But if you can get a TP away, then that's your best chance of surviving. So Suzuing early and then, finding this guy before it actually hits you, if you can, and then TPing away. And that's a realistic thing to do. Again, experience and just knowing the timing, and not trying to time it perfectly, just being early to get away. Yeah, it's unfortunate. This is another, not the actual Tyre, but like the TPing away in time is another like advanced thing that I like to talk about when you get better at the game, is like having targets lined up that you can TP to. So instead of realizing you need a TP and then trying to find a target, keeping someone in the back of your head whose position you already know when you need to be safe, is an advanced thing that, again, I don't want you to focus on it yet, but like if like I hear Tyre in my games, the first thing I do is like scan where my teammates are and which one is farthest away from me if I need a TP.
Okay.
And so that when I Suzu and I have to leave the tire's radius, I know where I need to look, right? I'm not guessing at who's far away. I'm not accidentally teleporting to this guy, ending up right here and dying half a second later, right? But yeah, this just sucks. That's probably game.
Yeah.
You probably don't even get to do anything else this game.
No, I
Unfortunate.
don't think so.
No. It sucks that it has to end like that. It's a good code though.
This end.
And really like what you have to work on is very simple. It's not a very complicated thing to think about. You just have to reduce your downtime. That's it. That's it. You don't need to worry about anything else until you reduce your downtime. So don't heal full health targets. Don't miss your heals. That one's like a little harder because you're gonna miss some amount of your heals. You can't be perfect, but like just focus. Like focus when you're healing. Like it's not like a mindless action. It's not a mercy heal. It's not a Moira heal. Treat it like a name exercise where you have to really focus and be on target the entire time you're healing.
Okay.
Do damage when you don't have to heal. And honestly, you don't even have to heal targets that like are missing a little bit of HP. We talked about that on first point. You can just let them exist and do your damage anyways. And again, the better your uptime is, you can easily climb a couple ranks, couple sub ranks, potentially even a full normal rank just by eliminating useless time and useless space before you have to worry about where am I positioning, who am I using Suzu on, blah, 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 blah. There's other fun things you can think about, just to get past the slog of doing one thing to improve over and over again. Like that little thought exercise I put you through at the start of second point where your hog was in there whole hogging and you didn't know whether he was going to live or die. It's like, do I TP in and Suzu this guy? That's a fun thing to kind of work on when you're going in blind and when you're not. But yeah, really just working on your downtime. It is that big of a deal, which is why I've said it 100 times. So